And like these guys pointed out earlier, 99.9% of the time, it is inappropriate to ask veterans how many people they've killed. However, with that being said, there's always one slashing portion of the demographic that might appreciate that question. And I'm actually giving this as a shout out because they take this as a point of pride. That would be your cooks. They've probably killed lots of people, death from within. Yes, I did that for toes.
So let's keep it. I'm loud enough.
Oh, yeah.
I'm loud enough for the both of us.
So you'll be in charge of charging equipment this week.
Yes, I know. And I'll make sure that just keep it clipped. I mean, I'm loud enough as it is. You don't need. I know. Sorry. Ooh, one in each nipple. Don't I feel special? Oh yeah.
Hey, baby. Diarrhea. Cha, cha, cha. Sorry, I'm infatuated with Beavis and Butthead. Always have been.
When you're sliding in the third, you'll start
Indeed.
Look at that.
Wow. I am not good at the clippy thing. Okay, here we go.
We just bought new clippy things, so we're learning to use them. We had mics. Mics weren't working as well as we had hoped. Apparently, we needed them here, and that didn't work. So,
like everything else on this channel, sharp learning curve ahead for us. But we adapt and adjust, as is the military way. And as long as you don't ask how we adapt, or where the hell did we get said thing to adapt
strategically transfer equipment to an alternative location.
Yeah. And as long as you don't ask questions, you won't have to worry about the answers.
Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies.
Nope, I promised my commander and my first sergeant, if you want to know, I will tell you. You don't want to know. You want to just nod. When I walk up and tell you I need 2 mechanics with their toolboxes, just nod.
Don't ask how the job gets done as long as it's done. And as long as you don't worry about how the job got done, it's less paperwork for you.
Don't ask me how we came up with 3 new Humvee tires and all of a sudden we don't have any lip antennas. That deal never occurred.
Yeah. Well, being a metal worker, we had to fabricate quite literally everything. Well, I mean, quite literally fabricate. Sometimes it's like, yeah, we had to BS our way through, something that we had to do. And other ways it was like, yeah, we built it from the ground up. Don't ask us where we got the stuff to do it, but we did it.
All I can say is I had several jobs while I was in, one of which I worked similarly close with the metal workers. I turned wrenches for a while. But just to kind of give a lead in to what my job was when I retired, some of you out there that are veterans of this particular branch will know, if it flies, it dies. That's what I finished as. So.
The good old days. It's amazing how this stuff, it's like some days it's like it's hard to tell the PTSD from the nostalgia.
So, speaking of PTSD, in the past 2 weeks, I have now been changed from PTSD to poly PTSD.
How does that work?
I have, and I thought in my head, piecing these events together, that it was just because there's one long trauma and then there's a short trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Short occurrence. We're talking moments that caused the trauma. And I assumed that since they were happening at the same time, concurrently, that it was just PTSD. And since I don't get in depth with my psychiatrist because she's a prescriber, she's not the one who deals with the trauma, so you don't open that up in the office any more than you have to because you don't want to have to try and put it away out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Boy, I've had $1 for every time I had to put it away in the parking lot. Woo! Telling you.
You have $2?
Yeah.
So I recently met with a psychiatric psychologist, and she was like, "No, that's two separate traumas." She says either one of those alone. And again, I only gave her the basics because I didn't know her more than a week, and I'm not opening up to somebody I've known a week. I've known you 20 years,
Yeah.
and there's some of the stuff I got going on that you don't know about.
Yeah.
So it's confusing now. Now I have to figure out how to deal with two when either one or both can be causing different symptoms. So I may deal with one of them, and I'm going to start here in the next couple of weeks with the new counselor building a rapport to start working on this, what I feel is the smaller of the two, the one that's going to be easier to deal with, to try and learn how to deal with the trauma. And this is 25 years down the road, 23 years down the road since the trauma happened, and I'm just now getting to the point where I'm able to work on it.
So, based off of that, for all you veterans out there, find a battle buddy. Regardless of whether you personally are dealing with stuff or someone else is dealing with it, find someone that is gonna watch your back and you can watch their back. Because there are some that it's like, yeah, you tolerate them, but you don't like to be around them. That's not a battle buddy. Someone that you will go out for drinks with, even if you
Or
don't
stay
drink.
Or stay in for drinks with.
Yeah, even if you don't personally drink, but you order a Coke and they're drinking like a fish out of water. Then be a battle buddy. Have a battle buddy, because they will be the ones who will call you out when you need it most. Because there are some times when you start spinning up, or they will start spinning up, and you need to cut that stuff right away.
This is the guy you trust when he says, enough.
Yeah.
You've spooled yourself up enough. Time to stop. And you look at him and go, okay, you're right. Just because you're my battle buddy, you're right. I got your back. You're saying I'm done, I'm done.
This is the guy that guards your weapon while you go beat it in a 115-degree porta-john. Battle buddy.
Only 115?
Yeah, there's a limit, I mean.
Rookie
Dude,
number.
It becomes
I was gonna say, that's like 8 a.m.
I was going to say, it gets uncomfortable at 116, It gets uncomfortable at that point.
You got to wait until later in the afternoon after they've come out with the shit-sucking truck and cleaned them out and sprayed them fresh before you go in and whack one out. The problem with that is then it's 138 degrees inside the porta potty, and you've got to get it done fast before you pass out from the heat.
Speed running.
But if you do it at 8 o'clock in the morning when it's only 115 degrees, man, you got 2 days worth of stench in there.
Yeah, and at that point, like I said, rookie numbers. I mean, it's you're weak.
When we got to, and I don't know, all of them have names now, and we didn't have names for all of our base camps.
Oh, they barely had grid coordinates.
Yeah, ours, where we were headquartered when we weren't on missions, was Baghdad International Airport. We just called it BIAF. I don't know. It's Camp whatever now. I don't know. I've never bothered to look it up. I don't care. I'm not going back there. But it got so hot on the flight line, it was melting the components of our helicopters sitting there. We had to find buildings to put the helicopters in and hope the buildings didn't fall on them, which happened. The buildings were so shot up that we're putting the helicopters in them, and the roof is caving in and crashing on the helicopters. So now somebody's got to go out and do an incident report on the helicopter that just got crashed with nobody in it. I don't speak from experience, though.
Well, I mean, that's not
Yeah,
totally
that never
bad.
happened.
I mean, it's not totally bad. At least you didn't lose anybody.
We've had stuff that it's like, because me and Cajun Cav here, we're both 2003 Iraq. I don't know when you were in.
I was in from 93 till 2013. So I did
Iraq?
Afghanistan and Iraq both.
Okay. But you were there for the initial shit show, right? All right, so
Mm-hmm.
all three of us were there. I landed in Kuwait April 1st. And of course, me being the company comedian, said, okay, April Fools, everyone back on the plane. That actually, lightened up the mood. But he was already in, and I think at that point you were already basically, in the upper
We were
corner.
already taking Viat by then.
Yeah. And blowing up the statue, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's in my background of my re-enlistment photos. So, my claim to fame. And there was an article that came out in the Army Times magazine about the first guys to re-enlist in Baghdad. I was not included in this because they did not realize that the day after the Battle of Baghdad, my colonel rolls up in armor and says, "Get in," because I told him I wouldn't re-enlist until we got to Baghdad because he wanted me to re-enlist in Kuwait. And I says, you know what? I did not travel to the shit show kitty litter box of the planet to re-enlist in Kuwait. If he wanted me to re-enlist, I was going to re-enlist in Baghdad after we took it. The day after we took it, he rolls up with armor and says, "Get two battle buddies. We're going." Took me up on the hill with the statue of Saddam and his palace in the background, and I re-enlisted. So as far as I know, and I guess I should probably pull my file and find out what the exact date is, but as far as I know, I was among the first, if not the first person to re-enlist in Baghdad.
But I think by then, well, at least when we landed, we heard Baghdad was taken. And because we had a bird shooting for a star, we wound up spearheading 4th ID. Granted, we're maintenance. Our whole company's whole, job is to turn wrenches and push in, repair units and stuff. But half our stuff was still on the boats, and because we had a bird shooting for a star, we wound up spearheading 4th ID, which is an infantry division. We wound up just north of Baghdad by the time we got there. The Marines just rolled out saying they just cleared the personnel. So there was no one on the base. But they didn't check for NBC or for you civilians, nuclear, biological, and chemical. They didn't check for IEDs or improvised explosive device or anything else. Our CO, or commanding officer, said, "Don't worry, we got it covered."
If the VP is such a VIP, maybe we should keep his PC on the QT before the VC find out, make him MIA, and we all end up on KP.
And the rest of the alphabet, too.
That would have been
Vietnam.
Actually, that would have been a better turnout than what we got. But half our equipment was still on the boats. The ones we did have to check for NBC, 3 of the 4 detectors we had went off. The only reason the 4th didn't go off is because batteries were dead. 2 of them they verified had false readings. The other one was questionable because of the other 2. So we didn't take the hangars. So we wound up in outside of Tikrit is Air Force training base where they train their pilots to fly, but not necessarily to land, because that was an optional curriculum, the way we were shooting them down. So we wound up in the middle of the sand. We wound up eventually taking over some barracks, but from when we took over what became Camp Spiker, which I think became a FOB or forward operating base. I'm not quite sure, but for the most part, it was barely a grid coordinate. And for a lot of the missions, quote unquote missions, I was sent on, that's all it was. There was no name attached. It was a grid coordinate. Now, whether that grid coordinate involved a town or 2 goats in a shed, as far as where I needed to be as a metal worker, that's where we went.
The Afghani dream. 2 goats in a shed.
Yeah, except it was in Iraq, and so
The Iraqis liked it too.
yeah. Thursday nights. Was still a thing, even back then.
See, most of your guys' stuff is for Iraq. All of my retarded stories were from Afghanistan because I was at that one.
I played there too.
Yeah.
After my one deployment, I was like, nope, I'm done.
I got to go hang out in the capital of Kabul. That was so much fun.
We went to a bridge point, worked missions for 30 days, and went home.
My favorite story in Iraq to this day is during the Marine birthday. Me and the sergeant that was the machinist were over there for a mission, and he was just there as basically escorting me because they needed something welded. And we were there having steak and lobster served by Outback. And then the artillery hit, and me and my sergeant are sitting there enjoying our food while everyone else was trying to
Scatter.
save the waitresses. And honestly, it was a 50-50 toss up on whether I was going to join the pile or enjoy my food, and I decided to enjoy my food because it's been a while since I had steak. I don't really care for seafood, so I didn't bother with the lobster. My sergeant was from Puerto Rico and Golden Gloves at that, so I wound up giving him the lobster. It's like, yeah, here you go. Which I'm hoping he appreciated at least. But yeah, we and him are just, we already could tell from the explosions that it wasn't anywhere close to us. Because after you've been in for a while and you hear the mortars and the artillery and stuff like that, you generally got a good guesstimation as to where they're hitting. And it was nowhere near us, so we didn't care. And we were just, enjoying our food while watching everyone else dogpile the poor waitresses that were trying to serve us food. It was entertaining to watch.
And sometimes you just got a dogpile of waitress. I mean,
so, one of my deployments was to Bosnia. And about halfway through, they decided we were going to get a drinking holiday. So they issue everybody a ration card with 2 beers on it. So you get in this long ass line, and you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait because people have been standing in this line since 0600, and it's now 1800, and they're just getting ready to serve. And what they're doing is they're coming out with these giant cans of beer, no idea where they're coming from. They're serving them 2 at a time and stamping your card once.
respect.
Yeah.
Little lack of communication there, but you know what? It went a long way for morale, right up until some dumbass lost his weapon, and we had to dump out all of our beer and go stand in formation and start at the front gate and do a FOD walk across the base camp until we found his weapon, which some NCO from another post came over, found unsecured, picked up, got on his bus to go back to his base camp with the weapon, and took it to another base camp and turned it in there. We did not sleep for 2 days searching for this weapon that an NCO took to another base camp.
Yeah.
And I thought officers were stupid.
Sounds like a Tuesday.
Oscillating frequency finder mode.
Okay, so I've just been reminded of something. There for a while, when I was with the CAV, I was with the helicopter half of the CAV. And we had a new pilot come in and grounded one of our aircraft because the radios, which are required to fly, you have to have communications with the tower to be able to fly, did not work in oscillating frequency finder mode. So I sent my avionics team out to look over this aircraft because the day before, this aircraft was fully mission capable, was performing missions. And all of a sudden, none of the radios worked. So that's, like 5 radios, I think it is. None of them worked. Avionics team could not figure this out because every time they tried it, it worked just fine. So they came back and they're talking to my chief, and I worked for a chief warrant officer 4 at the time, which is pretty doggone high, and they're all trying to figure it out. So they go back to the original write-up in the logbook, which says radio does not work in capital O, period, capital F, period, capital F, period. They actually had to go ask the pilot, what is O period, F period, F period? He says oscillating frequency finder mode. So they're going through the books trying to find this. Is this some new capability that we're supposed to have on all these radios maybe we haven't been schooled up on but was installed overnight? No, radios do not work in OFF. They do not work when they're turned off. Lots of things don't work when they're turned off. Hubcap. Problem exists between cyclic and chair.
Oh no. It's just like the basic meme of tech support. Is the thing plugged in? Did you turn it on?
Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in?
Oh no.
Does the outlet work? How do you know? Plug a lamp into the outlet and tell me if the lamp works. No, the lamp don't work. You have a totally different problem. Thank you. Have a nice day. And have a shot.
Yeah, definitely. That there was some things that went going on that's like, if all the things I was expecting, getting shot at, getting blown up, that kind of comes par with the course. But some of the dumb stuff that came up, it's like, that was not on my bingo card for this year or this deployment.
They sent a communications group when we were in Iraq, a squad from the Camo battalion over to us specifically to oversee our communications, which included our MWR phones back to the States, which for some reason didn't work. 2003, we can't make the telephone work. Finally, our first sergeant says, you know what? I'm tired of y'all complaining. I'll go deal with this myself. You, points at me, come with me. Because I was my unit's commo guy, and he knew I was pretty smart about this stuff and would be able to tell if they were BSing. We walk in there, they're online playing video games, eating up all the bandwidth. They gave us the minimum amount of bandwidth necessary that the phones would work. Not that they would work well, not that you would be able to use them, but just enough so you picked them up and got a dial tone. As soon as you started to dial, you overloaded the phone system because they were conserving all the bandwidth for themselves to be able to play video games. So after they were done picking up the pieces of their video game consoles and doing push-ups in a combat zone, our phones worked just fine.
So I got 2 stories associated with that, but do you want to jump in for anything?
No, I don't really have any good stories about that. I was a commo guy when I was deployed, and
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I didn't have that stuff going on. We just, I mean, the most entertaining story I have, really, as far as comms go. Which, being a commo guy, what's entertaining to me might not be entertaining to others.
Be right back. I need to refill.
Pause or no?
Well, anyway, when I was in Afghanistan in Kabul, right, our mission was to provide comms to the international security forces. So pretty much all of the European Union and the Canucks and whatnot. Yeah, we were all together, and my job was to provide the comms for that staff to get into the big, larger overall network. Well, as a sidebar of that, a battalion of Marines took over the embassy, which was approximately 1 or 2 blocks from where our compound was, right? And the State Department was unable to get their comms up. So then my team had to take over their comms too until they could get their stuff up and running. And the funny thing and like I said, this is what I found funny. We would run the cable even after I vehemently said, stop running cable to the embassy. People are just going up at night and cutting the cable. These cables are expensive. Stop doing it. I go, we have a piece of equipment that will solve this problem. It's a line of sight radio. We call it a tisser back at the time, right? Put one on top of embassy. Put one on top of building over here. They connect. Run wires to each antenna. Boom, problem solved. It took 17 reels of cables getting cut before someone went, hey, maybe we should try old Sarge's idea about using the radio equipment. You think? Those are your tax dollars hard at work, folks. But to me, that's amusing because of how stupid it was.